a piece of legislation that I don't have typed up with me today, but I think that Chairman Creekmore is working on, and maybe just hear from him some updates that he can give on that. I don't think Mr. Derrick is going to be able to join us today. Is that right? Okay, okay, that's fine. Well, Mr. Jordan Jones, if you will grab your microphone, hit the button to when it turns green. Introduce yourself, tell us why you're here and whatever you want to tell us. Hit it hard. It's stubborn like a senator.
There it goes. Good morning. My name is Jordan Jones. I am the founder of a company called Holos. I spent 20 years in the military, over half of that as a Green Beret in 20th Special Forces Group. Thank you. And during that time, I was a master fitness trainer, then a Special Forces medical sergeant. And towards the end of my career, the last 2 years, I became a human performance and wellness coordinator for 2nd Battalion, 20th Special Forces Group, which encompasses Mississippi, Indiana, and Maryland. The position was new. To kind of give you some background of how I came up with Holos, why it exists. While I was in the position, they didn't really know what to do with holistic health or how to incorporate that in, especially with a geographically dispersed unit all over the state of Mississippi. We have soldiers in all 50 states, actually, between the 3 companies. The largest issue, obviously, was suicide prevention, not just awareness, because I feel like we're all aware that suicide is an issue. So how do we prevent it? When I started kind of diving into it as a medic, how do we get left of suicidal ideations? That led me down a path of addiction rates, divorce rates. And then if you go left of that, you start talking about burnout. So op tempo, sleep issues, hormonal disruptions, TBIs, all the things that soldiers deal with. And I started looking at how do we mitigate that, and started learning about holistic health and all the therapies and modalities that you can incorporate yourself into your daily life to help prevent those things, whether that's getting on hormone replacement therapy if it's needed, supplementation, learning better sleep habits, all the things. What we did was became a mobile training team, and it would actually go to the guys and educate them on the hazards of the job. So when you start talking to a guy, and I would use myself as the example, and I know that I had sleep issues, I had hormonal disruptions, I had a TBI, I went to Tulane University and got treated for TBI. When you start talking to these guys about those things, it's a way to get them to accept wellness, because in the warrior class culture, wellness is not even a word we use. So how do you talk about wellness without saying wellness? And that start describing the symptoms that I lived with, and then they start relating to it. I realized pretty quickly that I didn't want to just educate them and leave them with that and walk away. So I started teaching how to apply that to their daily lives, and what signs to look for to say, hey, maybe I do need to go to physical therapy more often. Maybe I do need marriage counseling. Maybe I do need these things, but at least bridge that gap between care and the team guys or the soldiers themselves. That turned into a 1-day class and a 3-day class. The 1-day class being all didactic, just going over the education, the first part of the day of the hazards of the job. And then the second half of the day is actually going in and teaching therapies that they can do on their own, whether that's cold plunge, low intensity, steady state workouts versus HIIT workouts, how to regulate the parasympathetic versus sympathetic nervous systems and down regulate after a deployment or after a busy day or a jump, whatever it is. As we traveled around teaching that, I started teaching it also to RCTA here in Mississippi. And so law enforcement are actually taking the class. I have a class right now going on in Brandon for Brandon PD and Brandon FD. As we continue to train this, there was a huge demand for continued care. So I'd go teach the class, give the therapies and everything, and then I leave, and I'm getting phone calls and emails of how do we continue to do this? What if we have questions? Is there anything virtual? And so as you flip through the packet, you'll see it starts talking about the Holos Integrated Readiness System, which is 2 apps. That the first app is a community where soldiers, law enforcement officers, high stress professionals can actually get into the app and ask questions directly to a physical therapist, a cognitive coach, the strength and conditioning coach, a nutrition coach, all in one platform, all under one house. And then in the same app, they can jump over and take classes, which have now been all three of the classes, whether it's a 1 day, a 3 day, or online, are certified through DPS here in Mississippi as continuing education. So if they are law enforcement, then they get the credit for those hours as well. Going back to how we started out on educating and then application, I realized that the single app only was education and community. So we now have Holos Fit app, which is a resource-based app for programming, workouts, for stress reduction and physical therapy, or just physical training. And then also we have the ability to add resources to that and diet. So I know not all of you can see, and I wish I could throw it on a screen for you, but I brought my iPad so I could kind of give you at least a visual of what the app looks like. So inside the community, on this side, you can see a running board of where they can ask questions and talk to the coaches directly. And then if you jump over to learning, those are classes that are preloaded that they can take anywhere as long as they have service on their phone or have Wi-Fi connection, they can get access to it. We also have an events calendar where we can do web conferences, and they can log in and actually talk to the physical therapist or cognitive coach or whoever's doing the class then. And then if you jump over to Holos Fit app, on the front page, it's got a recipe book already built in. It does some pretty cool stuff as far as, hey, I want to plan out my meals and have healthier options, whether that's at a gas station or wherever it is. I can find it in here for a way to stay healthy while I'm out and about or on mission. It'll even give you a shopping list, how to do that. And then we jump back over here to the on-demand section. This is probably the most important part, is we've got resources added in. So say a soldier is anywhere in the state and he wants to know, how do I get into a TBI clinic? Preloaded, already vetted nonprofits that I used while I was in special operations that cover TBI, suicidal ideation, addiction, divorce, so things for your family. Also finance, if you're in a financial crisis, they can find nonprofits that are already vetted that are doing those things and get directly plugged in with them there. For National Guardsmen specifically, active duty has a much easier platform. They're all co-located. They have the gyms right there. The strength coaches are there if they're lucky enough to have strength coaches and nutrition coaches. Our guys in the Guard do not. Again, they're geographically dispersed. So if they get on here, and in the military, if your squad leader is over your physical fitness or your nutrition, that doesn't mean that that individual is necessarily certified as a coach in those things. So they can come in here and jump over to workouts. There's workouts already pre-planned inside there, whether it's for stress reduction. If you click on stress reduction, it's going to show you how to go to sleep better, how to wake up better, start your day better, how to do physical therapy on your own. And then programming, if guys are needing a program to recover from an injury, it's already preloaded in here. If they have running injuries or lifting injuries, they can recover with these programs that are already built. They're built by strength and conditioning coaches, nutrition coaches, and our physical therapists work together to make sure that this fits the needs of a soldier. Also law enforcement, fire, because the career is so similar. So that's what we have. That's what we're doing. Does it work? Yes. So while I was in 20th Group, the first year as I was starting to build all this, and before I even had the apps, within the first year, we conducted over 460 counseling sessions. We put 8 of our guys into addiction rehabilitation. I don't know how many marriages we worked with, how many financial crises we worked with. That was 3 years ago. When I left back in May, I did another survey to see where, and all of this is subjective, but I did another survey and realized that we had put 0 into addiction rehabilitation. Our counseling sessions had gone from over 400 down to in the hundreds, just over 100 the last year I was there. No talk of suicidal ideation. In the first year, it was weekly. We were talking to guys who were saying, yeah, I could eat this bowl of cereal this morning, or I could just end my life. And then they would call and we would talk to them about that. Those instances significantly went down. Some of that was due to we incorporated in Garmin watches. So either Garmin, Oura rings, Whoop bands, which most guys already wear, an Apple Watch or a Garmin, all of that integrates into the app. But we realized really quick that if a guy is wearing this watch and we can teach them how to read the HRV status, their sleep status, their stress, everything that Garmin already tracks, they would start paying attention to it because these guys are driven. Most soldiers are very driven individuals. If they have quantifiable data, then they will watch it and see what happens. And they would see that drinking 6 beers a night doesn't necessarily improve their sleep. It helps them fall asleep, but not stay asleep or get quality sleep. When they'd see their sleep score dip, they would stop drinking. And I don't know how many guys I've had come up to me and say, man, you're not going to believe it. I quit drinking. And I said, man, I never said stop drinking. And they're like, yeah, I know you didn't. But every time I drink a beer, I can watch my HRV drop, which HRV is a good indicator of stress. I watch my HRV drop, which means my body is stressed. And I watch my sleep score drop. So now I no longer want to drink. And they're like, and believe it or not, I'm sleeping better. I'm not drinking. My marriage is better. And I feel like going to the gym again. So all of these things getting left of burnout, which gets left of addiction rates, gets left of divorce rates and suicidal ideations. The last thing that I think is important is the military talks a lot about utilization. They don't want to spend money on something that they can't prove utilization of. Both apps together, I can pull the data from both and prove utilization. I can prove whether it's working or not. So is it worth spending money or time and effort on? We can see all of that instantly. The flip side of that also is the service members themselves, if they were to have this data, then they can identify soldiers whose HRVs are dropping or who are not actively using the app. And then they can know that maybe I need to talk to this guy. So historically, and myself being a 20-year veteran, guys are not very willing to open up about what's going on inside of their lives, especially personal lives, until it's a catastrophe. With this, you could identify those issues earlier. So that's what we do at Holos. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you having me here today. If you have any questions, be willing to try to answer them for you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Jordan, I'm Representative Rodney Hall. It's good to finally put a name with a face. I'm glad
Nice to
you're
meet
able to make it here. Hey, real quick, one thing that you talked about was community, which we've heard that multiple times through and through, which I'm a firm believer of. And I mean, you've already identified it. Active duty, they're all on base at Bragg or Benning or whatever. We're kind of dispersed across the 82 counties. You talked about the community in the app. Is there also a peer-to-peer piece to where a soldier can reach out to another soldier? And if not, is that something that y'all are looking at?
Absolutely. They can direct message each other outside of the thread within the app and link up that way. Yes. Yes, sir.
And then another challenge that I've seen just kind of across the board in Mississippi is virtual or telehealth care and the lack thereof in the state of Mississippi. You talked about being able to access physicians or counselors, et cetera, in your app. Is that your experience, or what has been your experience in Mississippi with virtual telehealth?
Very little. It's all been face-to-face, if I'm being honest. And the face-to-face counseling or needs generally don't happen until the soldier's life is spiraling already. So I think virtually, if there's access and there's anonymity there, at least in the early phases, I think they're more likely to reach out through virtual means. And then that would bridge the gap to get them to do face-to-face. Most soldiers are not going to go straight to counseling. It'll be a last resort. It was in my own life.
Right. Thank you. Man, we got Representative Creekmore here that can help get virtual health in Mississippi.
Jordan, thank you for being here today. I'm Bubba Carpenter, I chair military affairs, but everything in this building comes with a price tag. Could you talk about your pricing, or how do you work, or what do you do?
Absolutely. So right now, if an individual were to reach out, and just purchase this product off the shelf on their own, it's $24.99 a month to have both apps simultaneously. Now, understanding that there's roughly 175, 180,000 veterans in the state of Mississippi and something like 14 to 15,000 guardsmen at any given time, that allows me to go into another pricing tier inside of my system to lower that price significantly. I can just off from the hip, not making any promises, but just off the hip or off the cuff, I can get it underneath $10 a person. If it were something that we could advertise and get to every soldier, that puts it in a totally different price bracket for me, lowering my cost and making it available.
And that's for, you said one app, you have.
That's both apps.
both
That's both
apps.
apps. Yes, sir. So $24.99 right now gets both apps for a month. And then if it was broadcast, once we bump over 1,000 people inside the app, I can get it under $10 per person per month.
We appreciate your service and for
Oh,
being
thank
here
you.
today.
I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Representative Gardner, do you have anything that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I'm here more for moral support today. But Jordan is a close friend of mine. We met, I don't know, was it 4 or 5 years ago? And he actually voted for me, so that's a good thing. No, but no, Jordan is a great guy, family man, loves the Lord. Just a great guy for his character. Man, you can't find a better man. And I've had him, I think Rodney and I've had on speakerphone before in the last year. And of course, Jeff, Mr. Chairman, we talked and back and forth on the phone with Jordan, but what he's doing, he's speaking from experience, and that's what I love about it. It's somebody that's been there, done that, and he has a heart for it. I mean, this is not a business opportunity. This is not necessarily a money-making opportunity. This is a guy that has a heart to helping soldiers, that some things he went through himself and helping other folks. So I just want to speak on his character of who he is, and he is a real deal. He's legit. Got a great family, and so just want to speak on his character on that. So I think you got a great guy. If there's anything we can use this and in what y'all are doing, I think it'd be a great opportunity to try to see if it'll work within what we're doing. So that's all I have to say. Thank y'all.
All right, yeah, thank you. Look, I just want to be clear that I've said this multiple times, I'm gonna keep saying it, that, government is not here to solve every issue. Okay, we're gonna mess up more than we can fix, but if there's a place where we can help with suicide prevention, if there's a place that we can help with mental health in the state legislature, I want us to explore all avenues. Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you coming up here. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. What I've said from the beginning is I want anybody that's trying to help get into a single room. If anything, just to exchange contact info, to know what it is that you do. So I appreciate you being here. And if you feel like there's something the state legislature can do to help, I want you to come get with me. And we'll move forward with that. But I appreciate what you're doing. And God bless you. Thank you, sir. Okay, we now have proposed legislation, which everybody should have 2 copies of a bill. A copy of 2 different bills. One is a Mississippi Veteran Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And what this would do is basically create within the VA a call line for people that are having mental health issues. And there's not a fiscal note that's attached to this, but there will be. I don't like the idea of an unfunded mandate because obviously this would create where there'd be another job. And in that, I believe we talk about how it would be Mississippi Veteran on the other line that would answer that, because that's, people want to talk to people that are like them. And so this piece of legislation, I say legislation, this draft of a piece of legislation, I'd like for everybody to take this home with you, look over it, see where we can improve it or amend it in any way. or it's perfection. Either way. But I'd like for you to look at it. That was one piece of legislation that we wanted to look at. The second one, I'll say the same thing. This one's about this is the thicker one. This is going to be the TANF funds. And this is a bill that I wrote last year. It was double referred to public health and I don't remember the other committee, but anyway, I'd like for y'all to look over that also to see if there's anything that maybe we need to amend about this. I know that people are kind of get a little leery as far as touching TANF funds, but this is federal money that's being sent to the state that we're just sitting on. And I think that trying to help veteran families is something worthwhile. And I think we also have first responders in here also. So I'd really appreciate if y'all look it over and have any feedback on that. Do you have any legislation that you'd want to bring up this time or? All right, go ahead. How about it?
Chris, do you know, looking at this two-pager, do y'all have anything currently right now? Say someone's in a crisis, is there a veteran hotline that you know of?
We don't have a specific hotline, sir, but we do have individuals throughout the state that are readily available. If the call comes through to them, they know where to put the veterans,
Okay,
how to get them in the right place. But a dedicated hotline, we do not have.
this would be in addition to what you have already. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Could you work on maybe a fiscal note of talk to Mark and Mark Smith and see kind of what that would entail for y'all? And I know it's going to be probably another job or a PIN number or something, but
Yes, sir.
see if you could come up with some stuff like that.
Sure will.
Hey, I wanted to circle back around to the Ibogaine because that's something that sounds like it'll be more of a public health bill, but still something that I want us to be very familiar with. I have here where legislation has been passed in Texas, Arizona, Indiana. Looks like it was introduced but not passed in Louisiana to start rolling the ball as far as clinical trials for Ibogaine. And Chairman Creekmore, I just wanted to kind of hand the ball off to you and you speak whatever you feel comfortable with. I know that maybe you don't need to get into all the details of what the legislation looks like quite yet, but whatever you can share with us, I sure would appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this committee especially for letting me come and share this Ibogaine story with y'all and being open-minded about it. What is being passed out, one is a summary of what the bill is. The bill is actually attached at the end of the handout. But what this does is establish a grant program for a pharmaceutical to come in and match whatever state funds we put toward it, which my plan is to put $5 million of the opioid settlement money toward this. This is an abatement process, so it would apply. And then the pharmaceutical company would partner with the state, with the Department of Health, and also pony up an additional $5 million. And then this would fund the FDA trials for Mississippi. And why FDA trials? Ibogaine is a Schedule I drug that I believe has been misscheduled. To be Schedule I, it has to be extremely addictive and no medical value. Well, Ibogaine clearly has medical value and is not addictive. The treatments will be done under medical supervision with the doctors and nurses. You would have to qualify for this, meaning you would have to have there's some risks, cardiac risks, so you would have to have a healthy heart, and that would all be determined prior to the procedure to see if you would qualify. This procedure and treatments being done in other countries. Thousands of our veterans, including Mississippi veterans, have gone to Mexico to receive this treatment and had come back and been made whole. Many of them have been suicidal. And this is not a treatment that you seek first. You try other avenues of a drug abatement or counseling, but this is kind of a last resort. We passed a bill a couple years ago called the Right to Try that gives Mississippians the opportunity to explore experimental type treatments to help save their life. This is very similar to that. It's a right to try. It's a right to use Ibogaine. And there's evidence-based across the world where this is really helping our veterans and also non-veterans who are struggling with addiction. But the FDA programs would give us American studies and would help, I think, further this ibogaine throughout the country. Texas, as the chairman had said, has passed this and put 50 million toward it. And it's the bill is very similar. Whatever pharmaceutical company they choose, we'll have to put in another 50 million. This bill allows us to partner with Texas. Arizona's passed something similar. We could be the third state in the country and be one of the leaders in this treatment. And that's an explanation. I've also included some talking points because most people don't even know what ibogaine is. I didn't until I began this journey. And so that's kind of an explanation. I would very much appreciate this group's endorsement of the bill. And I understand that if you're uncomfortable with the ibogaine, just please ask me any questions. I can help you with it. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you got here, we were talking and I got a phone call a couple weeks ago. So this would, we haven't talked about active duty soldiers or currently in the National Guard that are deployed multiple times. They can't take ibogaine. It's a psychedelic, so they're not going to be able, right? They're not going to be able to take this if they're having some suicide thoughts. But you did elaborate that they've tried several more measures before they got to ibogaine, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. It's endorsed by several veterans groups and including vets organization, and they help raise money.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you actually having a draft of the bill in here. I didn't know you were going to do that. Thank you. And obviously this thing will move and be amended as we get closer to actually, you're trying to get it out of committee and then off the House floor. This bill, the way it's written now, if it's passed, this is not going to allow for it to be prescribed. This is just for studying purposes. Is that right? Or
Well, one of the reasons for the FDA trials is so that Mississippians who apply to be treated can be treated now through the FDA trial. Of course, part of FDA trials, there are placebos, so not everyone will be getting the ibogaine treatment, but they won't know that. So that's part of the study. But this is the quickest way to have veterans treated in Mississippi is through an FDA trial. And also establish a baseline of studies for the ibogaine drug.
And so I heard you say two different numbers, 5 million and then 50 million. We would be doing 50 million? Is that
No, sir. 50 million is what Texas did.
Okay, yes, sir.
And which is a $30 million or 30 million population state, we're a 3 million.
Right.
My suggestion is 5 million from the
Okay.
opioid settlement money, which is readily available.
Okay, and then it just depends on how far that would take us as far as how many veterans would be able to seek treatment.
That is correct.
Right, all right. Do we have any timelines on this or?
Well, the bill, as I've got it written, wouldn't take effect till July 1st, so it'd probably be another year to get the FDA trials.
And who would determine who we partner with?
Well, the Department of Health is where the grant program would go, and I would hope whatever organization, such UMMC or the hospital here, and then would help determine that. And then, and I've already been corresponding with members of Texas legislature. If we can use the same, and we can, if we choose the same pharmaceutical they do, then we can share information between the two.
Gotcha.
So I would like for this to be, although it's not in the bill where it has to be, where it's a multi-state FDA trial.
Understood. And I'm not pouring any cold water on this. I love that. I really hope this is what it looks to be. Any idea of what the cost per veteran would be? Like how far will this get us, do you think?
Well, what I'm hoping is it won't cost the veterans anything who apply for the trial.
Right.
Right now, if they want to be treated, what 5 years ago was a $4,000 treatment in Mexico is now a $10,000 treatment. Just supply and demand. I mean, they're backlogged for 4 or 5 months now to be treated in Mexico. So this would allow our veterans access to it at no cost.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again, Representative Creekmore, for leading on this effort. This definitely is important, and I think that it's a good avenue as far as addressing mental health issues and challenges that we have. Regarding the research and with Texas, is the University of Texas conducting research, or are they just kind of helping out the pharmaceutical? And then I guess the next question after that would be, are our universities able to participate in the research, the R&D piece of it, and not just the administration piece of it?
Absolutely. The way the bill's written, anyone can join in this, and it's not limited to one. And so the Department of Health really has the right and the decision making to bring in whoever they want to study it. And so that's kind of how it's set up. And I'm not sure about Texas, if the University of Texas, I don't know that all that's you may know already. But I think they're going through that selection process right now. And when I mentioned the pharmaceuticals that we would partner with, or one pharmaceutical, there aren't many in the world who harvest ibogaine, and it has not been made a synthetic drug either. They're trying, but it's not. So we're picking from like 8 pharmaceutical companies. And again, that's not the legislature picking, that would be the Department of Health in collaboration with Texas and other states. And if I may just add another, and to your point, or the results from this procedure have been overwhelmingly positive for TBI and PTSD in our veterans. Again, these are studies from Mexico done by Stanford University, but up to 80% effective after one treatment for a veteran to go through this process. So
Really does seem like a miracle drug. And I can kind of relate to Governor Rick Perry. On final passage, I was one of 4 senators that didn't vote for medical marijuana, yet I'm really wanting to endorse this right here. So it's kind of ironic how that is. Of course, this would just be for medical purposes. And, from what I understand, it's a drug that you don't want to take. So you don't want to form a habit to it. But how it helps you be able to reset your brain. Okay, thank you, Chairman Creekmore. And look, I hope you'll be open, like I was asking everybody would be on the other ones, where maybe can we take this with us? Look at it, or is this?
yes, sir. No, and I'm open
Okay.
to any suggestions, any
That's what I'm
changes.
getting at. Yes, sir.
And I do have, and I'm not actively seeking someone to author it in the Senate, but I do have one person that's committed to doing it, and who came to me,
Okay.
and so I would love to have Mr. Chairman join in
Yeah,
this effort on
yeah.
the Senate side.
You okay to say that name?
Josh Harkins, yes,
Okay, all right.
yes. He's one of his
Big hitter.
friends owns one of the ibogaine clinics, and we had him at the hearing
Uh-huh.
in Mexico. So, yeah. And of course, I would fully hope my 2 colleagues in the House would join me in this effort too.
Well, if you got,
Reform of this for a legislator once they retire to reset their brain.
It's not free.
if you have Chairman Harkins on board, it'll get out of the Senate before it gets out of the House. So, no, that's good. Okay. Look, again, this is a committee that I want us to just be informal, to speak whatever's on your mind. We've got 3 pieces of legislation in front of you that I want y'all to take home and look over. Has anybody got anything else that maybe we need to get into drafting? Again, we do still have time to come up with more ideas for the legislature to consider as I go to Senate, our deadlines. It's like the first full 14th. So January the 14th. I want this task force to be a task force that knows that at any point in time, you can just pick up the phone and call Chairman Carpenter or myself and just tell us, hey, I've got an idea that I think that we need to look into. After the 14th, that is too late though. So we need to get that in before then. Oh, yeah. Jordan.
Like, if the state agreed to go with something like your company, we would obviously appropriate the money through the National Guard or through the Veterans Association, and they would choose you as a vendor. Is that right? Is that how that would look?
Yes, sir. I believe that's probably the easiest way. We're already a GSA vendor and have SAM's cage codes to be able to accept.
We would probably make it available for the Guard, whether the soldier chooses to use it or
Right,
not.
right. It would be made available for the guard, and then we would just, the easiest way would be, this is gonna sound really rudimentary, but give a QR code or some kind of discount code that they type in when they go to log in, and it affiliates them immediately with the Mississippi National Guard, and so access is granted for free
Gotcha.
to those soldiers.
Not getting into your competition, is there anybody else that you know of around that does what you do?
No, sir.
Okay.
I've taught classes from Florida to Texas so far, and no one else is doing what we are doing. Even the platform we use inside of the app had all the capabilities there, and we searched nationwide to see if anybody else was using the features the way we are choosing to use the features. And we're so far, and even the company themselves, as they finished up the app, they said, we've never built one like this. And I didn't really elaborate to them what we were doing with it, but no, to answer your question, no, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions or comments or anything like to add? Okay, looking at the calendar, I'd like for us to be able to get together and to endorse certain pieces of legislation to go forward with. I doubt there's a way that we can meet between now and New Year's. Again, just it has to be a 15-day notice. And that's basically Christmas and then Christmas and New Year's. And so we gavel back in January the 6th, high noon. That's a Tuesday. Typically on Mondays, we gavel back in late in the afternoon. So if we wanted to have a right after lunch meeting on Monday, I doubt anybody's going to schedule anything then, but we'll all be here. So does that work with everybody if we set for that? Okay. January the 12th. So we'll gavel in on the 6th, and then we'll do one on the Monday after that, which would be the 12th. I would say the 5th, but there's no telling what'll happen around gaveling in. They're liable to call a special session on the 5th. That's what I would do. But
Now, 7th, which is the day after we gavel in, will be the National Guard luncheon at the old Capitol Inn. So you guys are more than welcome to come and join.
okay, well then let's what do we gavel in at 2 on Mondays, or is it at 4?
Well, yeah, drive.
Yeah. 4. All right. So let's say yeah, so we want to do 2:00 Monday and do that. Okay, 2:00 Monday, the 12th, and that'll be working towards finalization of legislation that needs to be presented. And if you have any ideas of anything that we can discuss at that meeting for other legislation, that's the time. That's the opportunity. If nobody has anything else, I'll entertain a motion. Rise and report.